All right, I'm going to continue on, and like I said, there's about around 40 more lines to type in. And right, wrong, I don't know. We're going to do the easy stuff first. So we're going to put this again. This is referred to as a route. Okay, this is what's supposed to happen when we hit. Basically, it's supposed to go and go to the home page, when we're there, etc. All right, when we first bring the site up. But we want to put in routes for our about page, for our contact page, and for our not found page. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to put them right here, and I'm going to put just a comment before each one. So I'm going to say render about page. And you'll see how small it is. So I'll give you a second to put those in, and we will go over each of them. Everybody got those? All right, so in English, this is saying that if we go to the About page, if we put that route in there, that's what we want to come up. We want to set the title and go to the About page. If it's contact, we want to set the title and go to the contact page. No, this is a little different. This means if it's anything else. So if we didn't go to the home page, and we didn't go to the About page, and we didn't go to the contact page, it has no idea where we're trying to go. So like yesterday, let's say I put in hello right there. It wouldn't make any sense because there's no file named hello. So it's just going to come up with that file not found page. Does all that make sense? Okay. We are going to set what's called, every route we've set so far has been what's referred to as a get route. We're getting information. We are going to set one post route. I'm going to set it up here. So right underneath this request statement that we have here, right underneath that request, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say set index post route. Okay. And Now there's going to be some stuff in here. This is definitely going to break your program because we have to go fix some of the earlier stuff in here. All right, but this is what we're going to need. So app.post, and I want to mention something to you. You're going to hear this more than once, but this is what we called our express app, right? Remember earlier we set const app equal to express? Well, just so you see this, and I'll get off of this in just a minute, but we're going to be typically doing one of four things. We're going to be saying app.get when we want to retrieve something. We're going to be saying app.post, and that's normally going to be if we've got a form and you're submitting the form. All right, we're going to do an app.put, and that's if we're doing an update. There's also one called app.patch, and we'll get into that, what the differences are in a bit. And app.delete. But does it make sense to everybody? That's CRUD. Now, when we do the app.get, by default, it's going to give us everything. But we're going to make a change in here so that you're going to see this fairly soon. Rather than doing this, all right, then our request, response, and all that other good stuff, we're going to do something like this. And that'll allow us to get an individual record with that ID. In much the same way when we're doing a put or a patch or a delete, we want that ID in there. Otherwise, we're going to be either changing them all or deleting them all. We don't want to do that. So that's going to like sort of be the equivalent of like when we did a where statement and you were doing a where when ID equals something. That's kind of what we're doing here. But again, realize that the reason we're doing it like this is, yeah, you at least have, I think, a good fundamental understanding of a relational database management system, that being MySQL. But who's to say that the person writing the program or working on the program is going to know databases? You know what I'm saying? They don't have to. And what we will eventually get to is putting a front end on this, because I mean, I don't want to have to sit there and worry about, okay, how do you use this and then put like a /1 if I want to remove user 1. I don't want to do that. All right, I want it to be a little easier, and it will get easier over time. Okay. So for this post route, okay, oops, sorry. All right, and it looks a little screwy because it is a little bit screwy. All right, and if you remember, one of the things we've talked a little bit about are callbacks and promises and async await. And that's what this is going to be involved with, for lack of better words. Because we're going to be calling a function here that we're about to write up above this called call API. And we're passing into it another function as a parameter. All right. So basically, it's going to be calling this with the result of this, for lack of better words. All right. We actually don't have that much more to put in here. I'm going to go back up to my app.get. So notice, if you would please, kind of hard to see them, but do you notice how this is an app.get with slash and an app.post with slash? The system will know which one you're using. It expects that by default, if you're entering that in, that you are doing a get. All right, we could even put a check in here that says, if you try to put in an address that you shouldn't, you could have it come up and not say file not found, but have it just say, this makes no sense or whatever. All right. Okay. So for now, the stuff that we're doing in here, that's going to be what we end up putting in our call API function in just a minute. Did you hear me? That's what we're going to put in there. Now, to make it easier for me, it may be easier for you too. I'm just going to grab these 4 lines here. I'm going to cut them and I'm going to put them below this. All right. So this, like I said, we're going to make changes up here in just a minute. So my app.get will have to be changed. All right. So we've got here res.render. All right. Home, etc. We don't want that stuff in here. All right. So I'm going to remove this line and I'm going to call API function done with API res.render index. Now, it may end up on here. I may have, we may need a dot or a slash in front of this. We'll see. All right. Like I said, we will figure it out. I'm not really worried about that. That's got to have the fat arrow there. All right. So let's see. What am I missing here? I'm missing something. Call API. No, that does not have a fat arrow. Get that out of there. Call API function done with API. That's correct. Res.render index. All right. Well, we don't want to just render the index. We'll also want to render a JSON object, stock, and done with API. That will need a semicolon there. Now, something's goofy here because, let's see, I'm missing a paren or I'm missing something. So let me just give me a second here. That one, there we go. That needs the fat arrow. All right, it's all going to come together in just a bit. So app.get slash acquire response, boom, curly, call API, function. Right, is it not like that? Oh, why do I have the word function there? That's not going to help. There we go. It's getting there. I wrote this with the old syntax that didn't use the fat arrow here. It used an actual function word. I'm trying to change it, but I've got the old one here. So let's see. Response, boom. Call API function, done with API, boom. Res.render. All right, why don't you put that in, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about what it's doing in just a second. All right, so it's lines 32 through 36. And then we've got to go back and make just a couple changes, and we're done. So it doesn't look like it's going to run correctly, so we'll have to I'll work on that But this should get us finished before 3 o'clock. All right. In English, what this is saying is, when we get to the home page, basically, what we want you to do is we want you to call this call API function. You say, yeah, but we don't have a call API function. That's what this is going to become in just a second, because we want it to call the API. That's why we're using that name. Does that make sense? All right. And then we want to pass in here done with API. And when we're done, we want it on our home page. We want it to render that information that it's going to receive from the API. Now, some of you are shaking your heads like, yeah, okay, but it really, you have to look at it for it to make any kind of sense whatsoever. All right. So let's make a couple more changes up here. So where this request line is, okay, right here. And I'm looking at that. Where is that? So we've got this here. I don't know what that's hooked onto. If anything, I might have forgotten to put it onto one of these. I don't know. But so we've got this request. We'll leave that there. It should be okay because we're going to eventually need it anyway. But I'm going to put in here function. So we're writing our own function. We're writing call API. Now, remember, we can use the same name in here, or we can use a different name. This is that done with API, but we don't have to call it that. So for example, we can call it finished API, and we need a name. That name is going to be the name of the symbol that we're going to end up putting into our search box. So like FB for Facebook. All right. So I'm going to put that in a curly. Now, you don't want the ending curly here. Okay. This is going to be tabbed over. Whoops. This is going to be tabbed over in just a second. And let me do view word wrap. Okay. I believe that's everything. So, in English, what calls call API? Well, look down here. There's our call to call API, right? We're calling it both for our get and we're calling it for our post. All right, and both times we're passing done with API in it, and we want to render that information back both times. We want to render back the done with API information. All right. Then when we call API, then we're calling this. So again, we are telling it to go out to the internet, to go out to the URL that we've given it. Using our public key, we are telling it that we want it to return JSON. If we get an error, return that. If it works, log everything out to the body. All right. Like I said, that may make some sense, that may make a little sense, that may make very little sense. All right, and I'm looking here because I'm just trying to make sure I've got everything mapped up on my own here. So this. So there's actually another one of these. So this in here should be tabbed. So should this be tabbed. And then in here, we need another like that. Now, it's giving me an error. I'm trying to figure out why, and we will, because I don't need the paren right there. That should be correct. Like I said, I apologize for that, but I'm not, when I did this last year, I used the old syntax, not the fat arrow syntax, and I'm literally changing it on the fly. It's not an excuse, I'm just telling you the truth. So, okay, so I'm going to come back to here, and it's giving me an error. Partial header could not be found. That was the same thing I had before, so I'm going to have to see if I can fix that. Okay, so far so good. So it doesn't have any errors until it appears as though until we try to go out there. So let's see if I'm going to get the same error or not. So localhost 4567, hit enter, and I'm still getting the same thing. The partial header could not be found. What that means is I'm missing something when I converted this code over. So I'm going to take a look at it right now, see if I can find out what the error is. If I do, I'll let you know right away what it is. All right. And like I said, no, Angie, with yours, if I get this working by the end of the period, I'll copy it here. If you all want it, fine. If you don't want it, if yours is working, fantastic. All right. So again, last time, because you already heard this, but so that's it for today for the lecture, okay? Now, again, hopefully everybody's at least got the ERD one done. All right, I see heads shaking, and that's good. And you've got an hour now to work on this one if you're still working on it, okay? Feel free, I'll be on, probably not tonight, but this weekend sometime. So if you try it and you have a certain exercise that you just don't understand even, don't keep banging your head against the wall. The idea is this was supposed to take you a good hour or so to get done, not hours. All right, so then just send me an email and I'll see if I can take a look at it and give you some help. And then as it says here on Monday, I'm going to go over that bootstrap lecture. So when we get done by Monday, don't have it here anymore, but we're going to end up building right, put it right there, in there, in there. So we're going to end up building this on Monday. All right. We are going to have by Monday, and it'll take, like I said, it'll take 1 to 2 hours. I'm going to give you the code again. All right. But we're going to build it together because I think there's something to be said about doing that. And you can change it any way you want. You don't like this, you want to have different pictures or a different size or a different whatever, go ahead and do that. If you don't like what I did here, go ahead and change it. That's okay. But you will be responsible then by the next Sunday to implement an about page and a contact page. And especially for the contact page, like we just did here, I would recommend going out starting with something like this and then making changes accordingly. Does all that make sense? All right. And, it should have a nice look and feel to it, etc. So on Monday, like I said, oops, try that again. On Monday, we'll be going over that Alfano's thing. So I will lecture on Bootstrap and we will do the home page. You will be responsible for the about page and the contact page that you'll have to give to me by the next Sunday. Tuesday will be lab the entire period. Wednesday, we are going to build some kind of a system where we're not this one. To me, it didn't make a lot of sense to save these file things, these stock things. We could have done that, but I didn't think it made a lot of sense. So I've already written one, like I've got a login system. Maybe we'll use that, where you can like log in and you can get to certain pages and it'll save, users' names and emails and passwords or something like that. It'd be something fairly simple. All right. And then again, I'll have it done where I've done it a certain way. Then I'm going to say, now I want you to change this in your way. Does all that make sense? And then the following week, we're going to start doing our first bigger project. We're going to create a blog and we will set it up with posts and stuff like that. And we're going to use, I've got it written right now in MongoDB, but I want to see if between now and then, I can rewrite it and use MySQL. And if we can get that done, great, because then I will transition it over to MongoDB so you can see how that's used. So that's the plan for the future. All right. I'll try to work around as best I can. You missing probably make one of those days, either the 29th or the 30th. One of them will probably at least end up being a lab day. All right. And the other one, I'll make sure that I tape everything. Okay. And Gabriel, if you are watching these things, hopefully I did check the sound, and the sound on all of them since you've been gone actually works. So there's a couple node lectures. There are the first 2 lectures for this thing that we're working on right now, this stock app. And hopefully when I get done, because this is the 3rd one today, so there'll be a total of 7 lectures that for you to watch, Gabriel, if you get the time. Okay? And that's it for today then.